Thank you for joining me, Diana Master, on NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports, and economic news. Coming up in this broadcast, Kaumbi drops lawsuit against Nust. Menzies refuses to release cargo. Gaingob roasted for congratulating Mnangagwa. Stick around, we'll be right back with midday news update right after this. While weather experts predicted that Namibia would only receive rain by the end of September, several areas of the south have in the past few days received some rainfall. These videos were taken at Plas Naub, north of Rehoboth, where between 18 to 25 millimeters of rain fell this week. Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia right after the break. Stay with NMH at 1.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into today's visual news clips, the mayor of Walvis Bay provided an update on the major ongoing road projects in the harbour town, estimated at a total of 25 million Namibian dollars. Forbes made the remarks at an ordinary council meeting held at the Kissemund Council Chamber. Have a look.
This said, I would like to give a summary update on the current major road projects that are ongoing and has been awarded. Consultancy services for road rehabilitation of intersections on Phase 2, routine maintenance, Lot 1 to 4, rehabilitation of Union Street, Phase 1. The total value of these projects are estimated approximately $25 million, of which approximately $10.5 million have been spent already. The upcoming road projects, which are still in the pipeline: resealing of streets and sidewalks, pothole repairs, rehabilitation of intersections, rehabilitation of Union Street, Phase 2, repair of sidewalks. These projects will cost Council an additional estimated amount of $25 million once awarded and completed. Council is well aware that we are a long way from having excellent roads in Walvis Bay, but we would like to ensure our residents that we are prioritizing this road infrastructure. Before I conclude, I would like to inform the Council that the residents of my recent appointment as member of the Regional Mayors Forum to the Covenant of Mayors of Sub-Saharan Africa. The Covenant of Mayors is an international movement that brings together local governments committed to taking action on climate change and ensuring sustainable communities for their citizens. Being selected to join the Regional Mayors Forum is an incredible honor and a testament to our dedication to environmental sustainability and to our town's remarkable achievement in this area. This appointment holds significant implications for Walvis Bay as a town. By participating in the Regional Mayors Forum, we will have the opportunity to exchange ideas, best practices, and innovative solutions with other mayors from the region.
MTC's Chief Human Capital and Corporate Affairs Officer, Team Akanjo, addresses Namibia National Internship Program's nationalization, urging corporate engagement for its expansion. Take a look.
Program is fourth year running. MTC has spent about 1.8 million on an annual basis. We've now scaled it up to 2 million. Calculations would probably be about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million. My mathematics are very, very bad. But that's how much we've spent so far. We've always maxed the 167 quota that we could allocate based on the budget. This year, we are fortunate that Standard Bank came on board with an amount of 200,000 Namibian dollars. Old Mutual came on board with an amount of 300,000 Namibian dollars. So we've now scaled it up. Instead of the 170 students that we could normally take in, we are now already standing way above 200, 200 number in terms of interns. But this is really to make sure that we assist more students. We think it is a national problem, and therefore makes sense that it's not just constricted to MTC. That everybody should get involved in this massive problem. We have about 48,000 students that seek internships on an annual basis, and you can understand that if they do not get internships, they cannot graduate, which delays their sort of development. So we've decided that when we started this initiative, we were looking at about 167 students. But you can imagine that's like a tiny drop when you look at the 48,000 requirement that's needed on an annual basis. And so our approach was, why don't we nationalize it so that we can get more corporates involved, more partners involved. And by nationalizing it, it would mean that we are able to sort of get more money into the pool. And by getting more money into the pool, we're able to assist even more students. So that's basically the main motivation for having decided to nationalize it. The one thing that corporates always say is that, you know, the students that we get from academia they don't have experience, they come with bad attitudes. This is your opportunity to play a meaningful role, because if we do not teach them the stuff that we would sort of expect from them once they join us on a permanent basis, they're going to remain without experience. So this is an excellent opportunity for a corporate to make that contribution, to sort of shape these students in the manner in which they want to see them when they eventually graduate and enter the job market.
Stick around after the break. The Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review segment.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. Starting us off, the Namibian Sun reports that Popular Democratic Movement Member of Parliament Ina Hengari plans to sue the state for her arrest on Independence Day in March after the charges against her were withdrawn. Hengari and activists Mbulukeni Nauyoma and Michael Amushelelo were charged with counts of public violence, malicious damage to property and incitement to public violence after being arrested at a planned demonstration by unemployed youths in Katutura. On Friday, State Prosecutor Tatelo Lusepani told the court that they were withdrawing the charges against Hengari because there was no prima facie case against her. The opposition lawmaker spent 3 nights in police custody before she was granted bail of 5,000 Namibian dollars. On page 3, the Walvis Bay municipality has granted conditional approval to the Backyard Tenants Group to purchase portion 19 of Farm 37. The 33-hectare piece of land will be used to create urban for approximately 1,000 residents in the harbour town. The decision was announced at the municipality's ordinary meeting on the 25th of July. The Backyard Tenants Group submitted a petition to the Walvis Bay municipality on February 27th, requesting land whether serviced or unserviced. According to Walvis Bay Backyard Tenants spokesperson Emmanuel Yafestus, the group mobilized funds to service such land and built something to call home. On the front page of the Republican, Zimbabweans have reacted angrily to President Hage Geingoob's congratulatory message to President Emmerson Mnangagwa for his re-election, accusing the Namibian head of state of undermining SADC's observation that the election fell short of the requirements of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Geingob, himself a former chairperson of the Southern African Development Community, tweeted on Sunday. On page 3, the guide to access the Southern African power pool and the amended single buyer market was launched in the capital on Monday. The Electricity Regulatory Board and NamPower, in collaboration with the SAPP, have a conference at the Mercure Hotel in Windhoek, offering access to the joint market. The conference ended yesterday and came to an end. Pinehas Matota, the General Manager for Economic Regulation at the ECB, on Monday, on behalf of the CEO, Robert Kaimise, a speech delivered, as well as Fritz Jacobs on behalf of NamPower's Executive Director, Samson Haulofu, and the Executive Director, Brian Aseb, on behalf of the Minister of Mines and Energy, Tom Awendo. On its front page, the Agomana Zeitung leads with a report about the Canadian gas and oil exploration company Reconnaissance Energy Africa, which is, according to the internet platform, reached an out-of-court settlement with Andras Sinoge after more than 2 years in court. Thus, Sinoge is due to receive his land back from Recon Africa. This is also stated in an agreement that has been presented to the court, but as yet it has not been officially approved. In the meantime, the Namibian government has awarded Recon Africa the right to drill 12 more holes on the Kavango region. How Recon Africa wants to afford such an expensive project remains a mystery in view of its recently published financial results. On page 3, representatives from 185 countries agreed at the 7th Global Environment Facilities Assembly in Canada to create an innovative new biodiversity fund that would draw money from governments, philanthropy, and the private sector. The new Global Biodiversity Framework Fund is designed to protect wild species and ecosystems as their survival is threatened by forest fires, floods, extreme weather, and human activities, including urban sprawl. The Namibian Minister of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, Pohamba Shifeta, told the meeting that Namibia as the affected party, was eagerly awaiting the establishment of the new fund and called for its speedy implementation. Stick around, we get into the second half of our newspaper review, starting with what leads on the Namibian newspaper's front page.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Right along with our newspaper review. The Namibian reports that the government institution's pension fund board is divided over which chief executive officer candidate to appoint, with some reportedly pushing to cancel the recruitment process and start a new one. The board has allegedly asked for more time to ponder the decision, mainly because the choice of candidate has become more contentious. People familiar with the process say the board is split between two candidates, GIPF Operations General Manager Elvis Nashilongo and GIPF Legal Chief Melchizedek Upindi. The two candidates are said to be the front runners amid claims that the division of the board could prolong or halt the recruitment process. On page 3, Menzies Aviation Group's Chief Executive Officer Philip Schring says that the company will not release the cargo that has been in its warehouse at Hosea Kutako International Airport since the 18th of August. This comes days after freight forwarding agents have been begging Menzies and the Namibia Airports Company to release the cargo. Some of the cargo was destined for sale at the Ongwediva annual trade fair currently underway. Medical equipment and wedding dresses and suits are also said to be among the cargo. In a statement released yesterday, Joining said the company is unable to hand the cargo over to Paragon Aviation Services or the NAC. The New Era's lead story reports that Namibia University of Science and Technology's chief legal brain, Joshua Kaumbi, has withdrawn a suit against his employer wherein he challenged his suspension. Kaumbi, who was suspended on the 28th of April after the university accused him of leaking confidential information to the media, filed the suit in May this year. However, the legal head suspension was lifted on the 28th of July and he resumed work on the 25th of July. Yesterday, Kaumbi's lawyer, Hafeni Hamunyela, confirmed the lifting of the suspension after a notice to withdraw a review application against the institution was filed. On page 3, the coastal tourism sector is urging the Ministry of Home Affairs to deploy more officials or explore the possibility of exempting tourists arriving on cruise ships from face-to-face or physical inspections. According to local tourism operators, they are losing out on lucrative venues due to delays in immigration services offered to tourists on board cruise liners. Instead, they propose relying on passenger manifests when dealing with passenger liners or more manpower as the sector readies itself to welcome about 66 passenger liners from October until April next year. The Market Watch reports that Osino Resources Corp, the Canadian registered holding company of the local Osino mining entities, successfully dual-listed on the Namibian Stock Exchange yesterday under the share code OSN. The announcement of the successful listing falls during the ongoing regional roadshow that aims to introduce investors to the company, as well as their exploration and development activities in Namibia, culminating in Osino's shares being included on the NSX register, allowing for the trading of the company through local stockbrokers. Stick around, we get into your economic news after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Let's get into our economic news. CA&S Group, which offers merchandising, warehousing and distribution services to fast-moving consumer goods companies, has reported a more than doubling in interim profit after a boost from both new clients as well as from acquisitions. Revenue increased by 22.5% to 5.2 billion rand by the end of June, while profit surged 108% to 304.5 million rand, the group said on Monday, helped by a 123.4 million rands gain on bargain purchase for a distribution business in Namibia. This refers to the fair value of net assets acquired exceeding the purchase price. The group acquired TNC Properties Namibia and Talba and Corson SWA for 65 million rand, and these had been loss-making for the past few years, with the seller making a strategic decision to exit the Namibian market. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 23.44 to the British pound, at 20.20 to the euro, at 18.57 to the US dollar, and 2 Namibian dollars and 55 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. Looking at NSX stock closing prices, all of these companies maintained. Overall index took a dip of 0.46%, while local index closed maintained. Looking at commodities, all commodities are up save for copper, which took a dip of 0.09%, now trading at $8,374 per ton. We return with news from Africa after this short commercial break.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
We now extend to the rest of the continent, and later on we'll bring you international news from the rest of the globe. Starting us off, Zimbabwe's opposition party, the Citizens Coalition for Change, has called for fresh elections after declaring that last week's general election was fraudulent. Deputy CCC spokesperson Ostalo Siziba told journalists that his party would lobby the African Union and the regional body SADC to pressure the governing ZANU-PF to hold new elections and disband the Electoral Commission. He would not be drawn to revealing whether his party would take the legal route to challenge the results. He said CCC would employ all the measures at the right time. Party leader Nelson Chamisa won 44% of the vote, but he insists those results were false. However, some regional leaders, including South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, have congratulated President Emmerson Mnangagwa on his win, despite SADC election observers' preliminary assessments saying that the elections fell short of the accepted democratic standards. Getting into our next story, a man in Uganda faces the death penalty after being charged with aggravated homosexuality. His lawyer told Reuters the 20-year-old was the first to be prosecuted for the offense under the tough new anti-LGBTQ legislation signed into law in May. According to the charge sheet, he is accused of the unlawful sexual intercourse with a 41-year-old man, although no further details were given. The man charged with aggravated homosexuality appeared in court on the 18th of August in the eastern city of Soroti. Jacqueline Okoye, spokesperson for the state prosecutors, told the AFP news agency. She told Reuters he will remain in custody until his case is heard by the High Court, given it was a capital offense. His lawyer, Justine Balia, told Reuters she felt Uganda's anti-gay laws were unconstitutional and were currently being challenged in court. We'll now take a quick ad break and return with international news. India has asked the United States to release $26 million belonging to at least 2 Indian diamond firms frozen due to their alleged trade links with sanctioned Russian diamond major Alrosa, 3 Indian sources told Reuters. The Office of Foreign Assets Control, the U.S. Treasury unit that oversees sanctions, froze the funds earlier this year, said 2 of the sources. Both are Indian government officials but declined to identify themselves or the companies, citing the sensitivity of the matter. The OFAC freeze is the first known punitive measure against any Indian business since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine last year and subsequent Western sanctions on Russian entities. OFAC froze the funds when UAE-based units of unspecified Indian companies tried to transfer them to buy rough diamonds. Reuters could not determine if the money was being transferred to Alrosa or another party. The Indian firms impacted by the action have told the government that the payments were meant either for non-sanctioned Russian entities or for orders completed before the sanctions on Alrosa came into effect in April last year. That's it for our international news. After the break, we get into our local sports news.
Good evening and welcome to Sunset News.
Dutchman stays on list A in his speech, rate in taxes, and how much.
After the break, we take a look at the sports.
We bring you
Economic indicators, tomorrow's weather and sports. I am Aina Raiza Kweo.
Starting off our local sports news this afternoon, newly promoted Botswana Premier League team Matabele FC arrived in Namibia for a 6-day training camp where they are expected to play several preparatory matches against local Premier League teams as they look forward to life in the Botswana Premier League. World Boxing Organization Africa welterweight champion Charles Shinima has sent a stern warning to Tanzanian opponent Id Pialari, saying he will not last during their fight on Friday. The Namibia cricket season gets underway on the 15th of September when the Richelieu franchise T20 competition will be held at the United Sports Ground. We'll be right back with international sports news. Georgia has picked rising star Tanika Kakoidze for their World Cup squad in a surprise inclusion for the center who made a positive impression at the Under-20 World Championships 2 months ago. Following 5 consecutive victories, Mamelodi Sundowns will now take on newcomers Polokwane City in their latest DStv Premiership Challenge, with the game set to commence at the Peter Mokaba Stadium today. New Zealand captain Sam Cane hopes their record defeat by South Africa might prove a blessing in disguise ahead of the World Cup in France, where they will be one of the favourites. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we will get into the highlights from today's broadcast right after this break.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we are now getting into the highlights from today's broadcast. Zimbabwe's opposition party, the Citizens Coalition for Change, has called for fresh elections after declaring that last week's general election was fraudulent. India has asked the United States to release $26 million belonging to at least 2 Indian diamond firms frozen due to their alleged trade links with sanctioned Russian diamond major Alrosa, 3 Indian sources told Reuters. In local sports, newly promoted Botswana Premier League team Matabele FC arrived in Namibia for a 6-day training camp where they are expected to play several preparatory matches against local Premier League teams as they look forward to life in the Botswana Premier League. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on all the latest news in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, sports, community stories, and a lot more. I am Diana Master. From all of us here in studio, we wish you a lovely Wednesday ahead.